A leader should know what inspires people to work from 9 to 5 and 5 to 9. Which is the fastest animal on earth?
Cheetah.
The fastest animal on earth is actually elephant. Our generation work for survival, for roti, kapda, makan. Thanks to the economic development across the world, a lot of children are becoming trust babies. The trust will take care of the children lifelong. You don't have to work. There's a person I know, I work with them as a business consultant. How many staff? 200 people. And what's the attrition rate? 0. Let me tell you, Chris has been one of the most fantastic podcasts I've ever done.
Hello and welcome to another insightful discussion in our leadership series of Strategy Edge. I'm Christopher Roberts, and today I'm proud to share with you that I'm going to share this discussion with Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, someone I have followed on YouTube and social media for a few years now. And the one thing I'll tell you that is very special about him is the fact that when you see him on YouTube, he comes across as this genuinely warm-hearted person. And I'm serious, will he be the same way when I meet him in person? And he absolutely is. Besides that, he's written 22 books, all of which are bestsellers. He heads up the Chanakya Public Leadership Academy and hugely influenced the fabric of leadership, not just in the boardroom, but across leaders everywhere. And the best thing about him is he shares his wisdom with all sorts of generations. We briefly spoke about not just Gen Z, but Gen Alpha and so on and so forth. So welcome, Dr. Pillai. It would be good for our audiences, which are mainly in Australia and New Zealand, to get a sense of who Chanakya is. As I outlined before, being born in India, we read comics about Chanakya, so we know a little bit about them. But our audiences may not know much about him. So if you can talk about him, what a wonderful person he was, how strategic he was, and the Arthashastra, and how that is relevant in today's business, how it inspired you to, write all your books around leadership and so on and so forth. That would be amazing.
Thank you so much, Chris. I had a fantastic discussion with you offline before we got into this conversation, and I felt guilty. I should be on that side. Because the wisdom that you're speaking about is equally true on the other side. I've read some of his books. I'm going to read up your blogs. I'm waiting for the next book also. So much you worked in the leadership space. Thank you, Chris, for making me part of your podcast.
No, absolutely.
And absolutely a warm, genuine person. And I think we can do much more to the corporate world, which is required in the leadership space.
Yes, absolutely. So if you can share with our Australian and New Zealand audiences, tell us a little bit about Chanakya. First up.
So Chanakya, as you rightly pointed out, for the people from Indian origin, it's a common name. So most of us have read in the Amar Chitra Katha, some serial. But for those who are not familiar, he was a person born in the 4th century BC.
Wow.
Which is roughly 2,400 years ago.
Right.
He was known for 3 major things. He was a kingmaker of Chandragupta Maurya. So we had the Mauryan Empire, which was created by him.
Yes.
Second contribution, he is known as the father of Indian economics.
Wow.
He wrote this book called Arthashastra. And the economic principles made India the richest part of the world.
Wow.
So we can talk about that in length. But the father of Indian economics, if not global economics. The third important thing is that he's a teacher.
Right.
Teacher of strategy.
Right.
Teacher of leadership. Teacher of how, a leader can even think about how to exit leadership.
Yeah.
So a lot of people talk about leadership as a position, as a place to be there, and the power and the kind of benefits you get once you're on the chair.
Yeah.
But a leadership guru tells you what to do before you become a leader, what to do after you become a leader, and how to exit leadership.
Wow.
So all the gamut. So Chanakya has got multiple dimensions, but let's start with the 3 to begin with.
No, absolutely. That sounds fascinating. And in my experience, and you can share your actual experience as well. I find that there is a severe lack of leadership. If you look at stats around the world, employee engagement levels are low. 60% of workers are quitting. That means they're doing the very basic that they have to do just to keep going in their job so that they don't get sacked. But, discretionary effort is very low. What's your experience been with this in terms of leadership? What have you seen out there?
So I have two things. Leaders are responsible for the success and failure of organizations.
Yeah.
They're also responsible for the productivity and the unproductivity of people.
Right.
So if somebody is quitting, and I'm so glad you introduced me to the word, who are the quiet quitters?
Yeah.
They are quietly working, but they're not optimally working.
Right.
They have much more capabilities.
Right.
Now, many people say, okay, why do they do that? Because maybe they have a family to run.
Right.
They require the salaries. But they come here basically 9 to 5 and you can see them very hardworking.
Right.
But after 5, that's not for me.
Yeah.
What can a leader do?
Yeah.
A leader can inspire them.
Mm-hmm.
The technical word from Chanakya is called Utsaha Vardhaka.
Mm-hmm.
So, there is a job profile. I think most of us would get it from the HR departments.
Yes.
This is a job description.
Mm-hmm.
You do this. Mm-hmm. But you'll be surprised, and you also shared the statistics with me, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said, maximum of them actually don't want to work beyond a point.
Yes.
Not only 5 o'clock,
yes.
But the point is that if I do over, it's also a problem. That means most of the organizations don't know productivity. How do you do that? Imagine there is a particular clerk, a very basic administrator in an organization.
Yeah.
Now he or she would only look at, okay, I come here, I deliver this, and maybe 10% more. But maybe the capability is 100% more.
Yes.
But what happens initially, he would get into the routine because the culture is like that.
Yes. Yeah.
But imagine that one clerk comes with an idea. And the boss says it's not worth it. And why are you telling me? That's not your job profile. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. If somebody comes with a new idea and you don't encourage that particular employee, you have lost the creativity of the employee forever.
Exactly.
In fact, there was a study that was done, Chris, that if a boss tells no to an employee 3 times, he'll never open his mouth ever again.
Oh wow, that is sad.
So who is responsible? I think the potential is there. It doesn't matter whether you're a senior management person or you're an intern who is just coming to the organization. Can you look at them from a human angle? Because productivity is something which is very much part of our inborn nature. A child is creative. A child wants to innovate. They want to learn. We may have a lot of boards. We are a learning organization. But then they'll attend and put a tick mark. Okay, so many hours of training because it's a must for promotions.
Yeah.
So I think we have to create a culture where a leader says, okay, it doesn't matter what job you're doing, but there's a personality beyond the job.
Correct.
And in fact, one of my books I've written, a leader should know what inspires people to work from 9 to 5 and 5 to 9.
Yeah, so they need to know them as a person. Yeah, I knew this contact center manager that had like 200 staff working for him. He knew everybody's name, which was an achievement by itself. But he knew their wife's name and their children's name and the husband's name. He knew all that as well.
Oh.
So when he would talk to someone, it was like, this person really cares about me. They know me about me so much, right? So there's a whole different ballgame. And what he said is really true. When it comes to leadership, they determine success and they determine failure. So let me share some insight with you in terms of what we've done. So we do employee engagement studies, we do brand studies, we do customer engagement and customer experience studies, and this is what we see. As night follows day, this is what happens. You have, if the leadership ratings are low, then the internal culture ratings are low. So what is culture? Let me just define that for you first. Culture is the way we do things around here. Okay, fundamentally. So leadership rating is low, culture is low. When the culture is low, the customer experience is low. Because if your staff are not happy, they're not going to make your customers happy. When the customer experience is low, then customers are less likely to be loyal and recommend you to others. And recommendation is the number one loyalty and growth, sales and marketing channel out there. And then that leads to business success or failure, right? So whenever we do employee engagement studies, the first thing we look at is leadership ratings, because we know that it's a predictor of future success or failure.
In fact, before you ask the next question, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You saw this chain: leadership, customer experience. Finally, it will also boil down to finance,
Correct.
revenues.
Yes.
So it's a connected chain.
Yes.
Where do we break the chain?
So I think fundamentally the chain is almost broken upfront. So whenever I see it, it's broken upfront. Because when you think about it, it's not just that the leader is inspirational. That's all fair enough. But the leader literally determines culture.
Wow.
So how do we do things around here, which is a definition of culture? Who does that? It's the leadership. And that encompasses beyond the internal culture. So leaders are the ones who set direction. They are the ones who inspire their staff to follow that direction. So one of the key drivers we see with employee engagement is that employees understand the strategy, right? And they're personally committed to making it successful. Third point is they have a line of sight. So they know if I do this, it contributes to the strategy in this way. So they understand it, they're personally committed to it, and they have a line of sight. Now, for all these things to happen, who will sell the strategy to them? Who will create the line of sight? Leaders. Right?
So you believe it's always a top-down approach?
In terms of direction, top-down. In terms of ideation, bottom-up.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a great learning. Thank you.
Absolutely. So just for your information, I'll just explain what it is that we do and how we do it, right?
Sure.
And then you can link, all your wisdom into this. So the main thing is, if people ask us, what do? We try to create an internal culture where staff will go above and beyond. Why above and beyond? Because all great experiences, if you go to any workshop I've done, and ask the question, tell me about your best ever customer experience, they will talk about a human being that went above and beyond, right? Whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a hotel, whether it's a telecommunications company, doesn't matter.
Wow.
So a culture where staff go above and beyond, that's what we try to deliver. Brands that stand out as the first choice in your selected segment for your prospects. Okay?
Wow.
That's the second stream of work. The third one is to create customer experiences that are not transactional and merely satisfaction, but are truly worthy of recommendation. So people go, wow, these people are great. We must continue to work with them. And the last thing, which is what we've touched on already, is a leadership team that can lead and drive a customer-centric culture.
Wow. In fact, I'll tell you, Chris, it's so enlightening because you've worked in the corporate world, you've guided leaders.
Yeah.
I think one point which I like to maybe ask my second question.
Yeah.
How do we create such leaders?
So my sense is that when I look at leaders out there, there's definitely a few challenges. One is I don't think proper leadership is taught in management schools, and like you said before, the name is a management school, so what they output is managers, not necessarily leaders. And let me give you a definition of what I think a leader is. A leader is someone who inspires people by their actions, not their words, by their actions, to do more, become more, learn more.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Now, what will it take for someone to be a leader like this? So first thing is, if I want to be an inspirational leader, I have to be the best version of myself. Correct?
Wow.
Now, for me to be the best version of myself, I have to make sure that I don't have any limiting beliefs. So what's a limiting belief? Someone might say, I'm too young, I'm too old, I don't understand maths, I'm not analytical. Those are all limiting beliefs. They stop you from going ahead. So leaders have to have the ability to manage themselves in terms of saying, convert every belief into an empowering belief. So if you say, I'm too young, you can say, yeah, I'm too young, so I'm not tainted by experience. If I'm too old, you can say, I'm old, but I've got tons of experience.
Yeah.
So you need to flip it so that it empowers you. The second thing is to give positive meaning to things. Sometimes people get so affected by things, so easily, They walk past their CEO. The CEO doesn't smile at them. They go, "Oh, the CEO hates me. So sad. My life is so terrible." But maybe the CEO is just having a bad day. Maybe he's not feeling well. So to deploy the right meaning to things. The third thing is things like questions. I think your brain is like Google, right? And what questions you ask your brain is what response it will give you, right? So if I go, Chris, why are you not fit, right? And my brain, that's not a good question. So my brain will go, Chris, you're not fit because you eat too much and you don't exercise. And I go, oh yeah, that's true. I don't eat too much. I don't exercise. Let me go and eat some ice cream now, right? So my brain gives me that answer. Instead of that, now I know why I don't exercise, because I find it boring. Okay. So instead of that, if I go to my brain and say, how can I lose weight, right? And have fun in the process.
Wow.
Now my brain says, okay, you've asked a different question, so I'll give you a different answer. So, join a sports club, play sports, have fun in the process, and, go on a diet that is tasty but healthy as well. Okay. Now you have something powerful. So the ability to ask right questions. Another part about leaders is they have to be persistent. So if you look at people who've succeeded, it's not necessarily because they're the most educated, the richest, the this, the that. They are people who, in the face of adversity, bounce back. In fact, failure is like on the far side of success. So the more you fail, the more you succeed. But most people get scared of failure and they don't try anything. So I reckon, this is our discussion before, gumption is the key word. Someone who has gumption, someone who's willing to give something a shot is a key success factor. The next thing is the ability to influence people. Now, before you try and influence someone, you need to know what already influences them. So as a leader, you can't influence someone if you're just a one-way communication. You need to have communication that resonates with the person and reflects back, right, to the outcomes you want. So understanding core human needs so that you can influence them makes a big difference.
Wow. In fact, one of the takeaways, Chris, is it's finally word of mouth.
Correct.
The leader is passionate, he's a social connector, he connects with the employees.
He becomes a role model.
And the word spreads.
Yes, exactly. So like I said before, there's this connect, right? So leadership, culture, customer experience, referrals and loyalty, and then business success, right?
Yeah.
And
financial success.
So let's just start with the first kind of challenge, which is employee engagement. So there have been a few things that have hit organizations in recent years. And the fallout is still there, I think. So the first thing is the pandemic, right? Now, when the pandemic happened, people saw, close family get sick, friends get sick, some people pass away. So it's a huge trauma and it's a collective trauma. And in combination with that, they were locked away at home, correct? So my sense is that created a change in psyche, where they suddenly started to reevaluate life and purpose and meaning and, am I really the kind of person that should just go to work and climb the corporate ladder and go ahead? Or is there more to life, right? And then you had this next challenge. So they were stuck at home. And initially they were probably sad because of it, because we saw that with our employee, they were really sad. And then they got used to working from home. So that changed their behavior. Then they wanted to continue working from home. Then organizations want them back. So have you seen this impact of the pandemic with people, and how should leaders cope with this?
In fact, that's a very interesting question. I'm sure all of you must have thought about pandemic. We never knew the word pandemic. Yeah. It was actually an epidemic.
Right.
Which was related to a geographical region.
Yes.
The leprosy is an epidemic.
Yeah.
But with Corona, it became a pandemic. What could happen in Australia, what happened in India, what happened in US.
Yes.
In fact, 3 things happened, according to me. There are multiple dimensions. The first thing, the world went into a reboot.
Yes.
It's like you are formatting the whole system once again.
Yeah.
It was a cultural shock for governments, for business organizations, for individuals also.
Yeah.
So this rebooting was forced rebooting.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted it. I still remember it was March, and most of us, in India at least, it is the financial year end.
Yes.
So most of them are waiting. Okay, we'll talk about our promotions. In fact, the year had almost closed, and there were companies who did not give the worth that they were supposed to get, sales target, incentives. So at the end of this year or month, March, we are supposed to get promoted.
Yeah.
And we are going to get the incentives. That never happened. But I also saw that apart from this forced, I would say, a structure that came into it, one more thing happened. The second thing that happened is what? Social restructuring.
Yes.
What is social restructuring? Most of us are stuck at home. There are a lot of positives to it.
Yeah.
A lot of people said, okay, I found my father at home.
Yes.
Because he was just somebody used to come here, sleep and go away. And he was a weekend father.
Yes.
The mothers used to generally take care of the children. But somewhere the connection happened. Of course, the other extreme was, because people had to work from home, there was no quietude in the room. But I think socially, with all the positive minuses, we got reconnected. A lot of people were doing Zoom calls. The third thing that happened was leadership change.
Oh, okay.
Because, even in the corporate world, not only in the corporate world, to begin with the corporate world, we saw that, they had to adapt to a new method of working. Even the government leaders had to adapt.
Right.
I know a lot of people who are in the government, IAS, IPS guys. So imagine you can't meet. They were essential services. But they went into Zoom meetings. The academia went into Zoom meetings. Zoom classes.
Yes, absolutely.
So the biggest change that happened was in schools and colleges and universities.
Yes.
So suddenly you can't go, but education can't stop.
Yes.
Your food supply can't stop. The government leaders, the academic leaders had to adapt.
Yeah.
Coming back to the corporate world. Lot of, I would say, as you say in Hindi, chintan manan hua. Lot of deliberation, thought process happened.
Yeah.
What was the outcome in leadership space in the corporate? Two things happened. One solution was no. I think all of us, once the pandemic is over, should come back to office.
Yes.
And say, okay, let's go on. A better report. A lot of people did not accept this thing that, okay, I got a new way of life. I'm in the Himalayas. I'm in Goa. I'm happy.
Yes.
Why should I come?
Yes.
You just look at my outcome. I'll achieve the targets where I am.
Correct.
But there was this boss who said no. Because they stuck to the old school thought.
Yes.
Saying that, okay, pandemic is over, now you come. I like you face to face.
Yes, absolutely.
And as we discussed, the command and control guys.
Yes.
So those are the guys who say, I understand pandemic is there, it's over, but I want you face to face.
Yes.
But there were some companies who also said, okay, can we consider this as a new normal?
Yes.
So there are companies who got into the idea of saying, okay, leadership, physically face to face, 6 days a week, 5 days a week, that's fine. But how about maybe making it once in a month?
Like a hybrid thing.
Hybrid model. So in fact, the biggest change that I found in the corporate and academia world is new courses came in. We're in Harvard and Stanford. It's called hybrid model of leadership.
Right.
Because it was not known. But how can I get the feel, the vibe of my employee who is reporting on Zoom?
Yeah.
Maybe they send some numbers and reports and MIS.
Yeah.
So I think the corporate world still is mellowing down. Employees are getting used to the new idea. But this is going to be a case study for generations to come.
Absolutely. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is this phenomena called quiet quitting, right? So when you talk about quiet quitting, we discussed this before. So quiet quitting is a phenomena that's going around the world. And up to 60% of the world's working population is quiet quitting. And what is quiet quitting? Where they are doing the bare minimum to just survive. They're not doing anything extra, right? And we have seen that in our studies as well. When you look at disengaged staff versus engaged staff are twice more likely to give discretionary effort. Twice, right? And they're also 2.5 times, more loyal, as an example. So you've got this majority of people where organizations are focused on productivity, efficiency, all this kind of stuff. But if they only engage employees, they can get huge productivity benefits. So what's your thought on that? As a leader, what can you do to get people to, not do the bare minimum, but actually go above and beyond?
So to answer this question, Krish, I'd like to ask you a question.
Yes.
I dealt with this problem in a big way.
Yes.
So, which is the fastest animal on earth?
Cheetah.
That's what we're told.
Yeah.
Okay, let's accept cheetah.
Okay.
In fact, one of my professors from Mumbai University, who is from the Life Sciences Department, he told that's something that is ingrained. I'm a student and teacher of life sciences. I studied animals, plants. He said the fastest animal on earth is actually elephant.
Really?
Hello, really? Absolutely, that was the first time. But there is a catch. An elephant doesn't run till it's got a purpose.
Oh.
So in fact, I saw this connection in a movie called Lion King.
Oh, so they can run fast.
They're the fastest, but they run for their two things. Either there's a forest fire like the movie Lion King, where everybody runs. Second is to protect their families or their herd.
Right.
So when the elephant runs, nobody can stop it. Because it's vision driven, purpose driven. So my child, that baby elephant is going to die in that forest fire. The whole breed runs. Now, here is a challenge. Coming back to quiet quitting. I love the word. What is the purpose leaders give? Is it 9 to 5 job and security? Do they give them a purpose, a vision? You may be selling a pen or a book. But when you say, no, this book can change the future of humanity, then you are no more a salesman of a book. You are selling a book for a larger purpose and vision. Now, this is an example we found in government organizations. Going back to the pandemic example. You know, the same government organizations across the world, lazy, that's what then we talk about, unproductive. Now, they are productive, they are talented, they have gone through the competitive exams and made big. No purpose. Pandemic gave them a purpose. We have to protect the human race.
And suddenly they were
imagine they became an elephant. They say white elephant. It's a cost. But the same elephant, like we see, the armies are bought in. They build roads across within no time. They can actually supply medicines to the places.
No, I think amazing things were achieved during the pandemic. You're absolutely right. And that is a brilliant answer. It all comes down to a purpose, right? Beyond economics. Strangely enough, when we've done our studies, that has been one of the key drivers of employee engagement.
Wow.
If you have a purpose beyond economics, beyond just making money, then it's a huge, huge driver. That's a brilliant answer.
So leopard, let him run, but make the elephant run.
Absolutely. No, sounds great. Okay, Gen Z now, which is a big topic of thing. Here's my view of Gen Z, what we've seen, is that they have access to an amazing amount of information. They're very socially aware, probably the more socially aware about things like the environment and so on and so forth than previous generations, right? But in a working environment, for them, things like purpose is even more important. So they are looking for work that is purposeful and meaningful, and they want to make a difference right now. So in our generation, if someone said to us, hey, what do you want to be? Oh, I want to be a sales manager. And someone said to me, look, Chris, you need to be in sales for 2 to 3 years before you have enough experience so that you can be a sales manager. I will say, yes, that makes sense, right? Nowadays, the generation is, I want to be a sales manager. I'll go to YouTube, I'll find the 5 strengths of a sales manager, and I want to do it tomorrow. Now, this is quite challenging for leaders, right? How do they handle this new cohort with a different set of expectations? And in India, it's a particular challenge because you have the largest, concentration of these Gen Zs in the world. So what are your thoughts on Gen Z and how to, motivate them?
I have a lot of Gen Z working with me. So I'll tell you, every generation will have its own problems.
Correct.
Even in the work atmosphere. Our generation work for survival. The typical word which spoke about Roti, Makan. Not only in India. In fact, one of my favorite books is Les Miserables, Victor Hugo. So it's a very popular book. There's a movie also on that. The person actually gets out of the house and there's a depression happening. I think it's a European story. But he doesn't get bread to eat. But he wants bread to feed his family. And after 2-3 days, they're starving. Now he goes and finally he robs a bakery. And he says in front of the judge when he's caught by the police, I'm not a robber. I'm ready to work very hard. I'm not getting a job what to do, but every time I come home, I see the children crying. So is it a need that I'm becoming a robber, or is it that I'm a professional robber? Now that generation is over. Fortunately, thanks to the government works across the globe, in every country, I think starvation would be a past problem.
Yes.
I mean, we're almost achieving it.
Yes.
But the next generation has not understood what is starvation.
Yes.
Now they will talk about why should I go to work?
Yes.
Because the mama, papa will take care of the food. In India, it's very clear that even if you're 40 without job, you'll be fed.
Yes. Yes.
In other countries, the government will take care.
Yes.
That's also fine.
Yes.
Now the challenge is that why should I go to job?
Yes.
I mean, there are a lot of companies that I work with, and thanks to the economic development across the world, a lot of children are becoming trust babies. So what is the concept of trust babies? Rich families, they have a trust, and the trust will take care of the children lifelong.
Right.
You don't have to work.
Wow.
So, fortunate are those guys, and we find them numbers are growing now. Foundation trust. I don't want to work for money for survival, for my bread and butter. Now, how can I inspire them?
Yeah.
If I want to work from 9 to 5, I would go one step further. Today people are working beyond 9 to 5. So this mobile thing can make you work for a Zoom call, even 8 in the night, and people are okay.
Yeah.
But if you don't give them a purpose,
so it comes down to purpose again.
So that's a leadership challenge that millennials are here to work not for the basics.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to give them salaries.
Yeah.
That's all fine.
But that's hygiene.
That's hygiene. That's basic. Can the person be driven? Let me tell you, find them more productive. They are not inspired by just, the economic model. But once the economics is the hygiene factor, purpose and something to change the world.
Yeah. No.
And then I'm sure the millennials will perform. They will outperform our generation.
Correct. No, I agree. Okay, let's talk about this next theme now, which is about cohesive leadership, which is what you cover in a lot of your books, which you actually champion. So leadership that goes beyond just managing people. It's about managing the brand, managing the customers, etc., etc. So, like I mentioned before, we found an inextricable link between employee engagement and customer engagement. If your employees are not engaged, your customers are not going to be engaged. And we found one of the key issues is emotion. So, if you make a customer feel valued, cared for, impressed, then they will be loyal for life, right? But before they do that, before you make customers do that, you've got to make sure your staff feel valued, cared for. That is the bridge, correct? And once you do that, then the staff will go above and beyond. Then you have that link to purpose and all those other things. What have you seen out there in terms of leadership that has that cohesive style, that gets staff to link with organizational goals and, go above and beyond and all that kind of stuff? What have you seen out there that has worked?
In fact, today's generation, Chris, is going through a fundamental paradigm shift.
Yes.
In leadership and also in employee engagement.
Right.
For example, I say it's a shift from C to C. What is C to C shifting? From competition to collaboration.
Right.
So our generation, right from education system, it was about competition. So demand supply.
Yeah.
There's one job, there are 50 applicants.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted a job for survival.
Yeah.
I think that's taken care. Now, are we thinking about collaboration? Or bosses or leaders with their competitive mindset actually trying to make people productive?
Right.
So let me give a specific example. I know of a business leader. He says, how do I get productivity from both people? There are two staff. Maybe one is a sales manager for one area, other is a sales manager for another area. I used to induct jealousy into them. And I said, what do you think?
That's a competitive culture, right?
No, in fact, imagine he used this word induct.
Oh, wow.
So they are fine.
Yes.
But I would call one guy separately. He's performing better than you. He's getting more incentives. His child is going to better school. So this guy is okay. He's happy-go-lucky. And he comes and tomorrow is okay. This colleague of mine, I need to compete. He'll call this guy separately. And then you know what? He's against you. Oh, really?
So
and
they deliberately create rifts.
It was created because that was a competitive environment.
Right.
Maybe that boss or the leader went through that cycle.
Right.
But today, I still remember I'm a big fan of movies.
Yeah.
I've seen the latest, I think, Avengers movie. And if you look at Avengers, it's not one person. It's a team.
Yes.
And I remember, I think one of those characters, maybe it was Spider-Man or somebody, is attacked by these aliens.
Yeah.
And the Spider-Man says, listen, I'm not that Spider-Man you thought about who's fighting alone.
Yeah.
Today I have a team.
Yes.
So I can call and the whole Avengers team will come.
Yes, it's not
So when you are in a problem, can I collaborate with other colleague?
Yeah.
And that's a leadership opportunity.
Absolutely.
We talk about team building.
Yes.
It's all good for conferences.
Yes.
But when it comes to the boardroom and actually say, today 1 plus 1 is actually greater than 2.
Yes.
I don't looking at individually.
Yeah.
So I think we have to move from competitive environment to a collaborative environment in leadership.
Yeah. It's funny. I've actually seen, people talk about a silo mentality.
Yeah.
The silos are created because right up at the executive team level, they don't get along and they fight. And as soon as the tribal leaders are fighting, the entire tribe starts fighting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you've touched on this already, but, give us some examples where, practical tips or strategies for leaders where they have actually created this, empowering kind of environment where the staff thrive and all that kind of stuff.
Shall I give you one example? Very much in Bombay City, Mumbai.
Yeah.
There's a person I know, I work with them as a business consultant.
Yeah.
And I told him, okay, how many staff? 200 people. I said, okay. And what's the attrition rate? You know what he told me? 0.
Everyone.
Wow, exactly. Wow, because we work in the IT industry where 15% is okay, acceptable.
Yeah.
The moment 15 becomes 18, red flag.
Yes.
Nobody leaves the organization. Really? Like you have a great HR policy.
Yes.
Absolutely. I have a great HR manager and I have a great HR policy. I said, I would like to know about it. The company is doing well. I said, okay, let me take you to my HR department. So I walked down his office was on the 3rd floor. The HR was on the 1st floor. And there was an HR department, the HR manager, HOD. This was a lady. And said, maybe you will introduce me to the lady.
Yeah.
But I was surprised. Okay, I'll show you my HR policy. He asked the lady, okay, show all the files. I want to show all the files. HR policy. I thought it was some vision document to inspire all the employees.
Yeah.
I was surprised. She opened up a cupboard. There were 200 files, which is typically administratively required. So he told me something interesting. Open up any file. So I took one file. I'll go through it. And you'll understand how we actually manage our people. So, okay, the front page had some legal, biodata, all the data about compliances, labor laws. We'll go deeper. With some 20, 30 pages. I was surprised. The whole family history was there.
Wow.
So his wife's birthday, daughter which standard she is, mother how old she is. And so I've done it for all 200 employees. And then I'm like, okay, now let's go to the next department. I said, it's over yet. No, now the challenge starts. I don't look up at one individual worker. I look at one individual who comes from a family of 8 people. So I have actually done a mapping of every family's problem. For example, as a visionary, if the doctor is in 10th standard today, I know after 3 years, education will be his biggest concern. And I know how much he earns. I have created an education fund for his daughter.
Oh, wow.
The third employee whose mother, who's 80 plus, was fighting with cancer. He's got a fund for that. Maybe through a CSR fund.
Yes.
Now, tell me one thing. Is it required as a compliance or a government law? No, it's me and that employee. But he says the employee actually got inspired by the family to come. And he told me something very openly also. There have been cases where people wanted to leave. But the family did not allow them to leave.
That's really good. So it's what I said before, right? If your employee feels valued and cared for, then they will go above and beyond for the company and they'll make customers feel the same way as well.
In fact, adding to this point, Chris, very famous book on the same theme. Employees first, customers next.
Yes.
It's written by, I think,
and shareholders last.
Yeah. We put the other way.
We put it the other way.
Finance first.
Yes, I know. It's really sad. Okay, let's talk about this next theme, which I think we both feel very strongly about. There's a command and control management style from the baby boomers. Some of them have done it for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. They're ingrained in that style. Do you see it working in the current environment?
So command and control is required depending on the situation.
Yes.
From a Chanakya perspective, it is called Dandaniti.
Yes.
What is Dandaniti? The ability to punish if required.
Yes.
There are some employees, instead of all the goody inspiration, motivation, purpose driven,
They'll take advantage.
they'll be mischief makers.
Yes.
And they're there in large organizations and small.
Yes.
And leaders to identify. And if required, punish. Leadership also has got the power to punish.
Yes.
In the army, the word command and control is actually for discipline.
Yes.
But if you take it for granted, then other employees will start questioning. He's unproductive, he's a mischief maker, and you don't punish him. And it spreads that unproductivity is accepted. So it's a fine balance of saying that okay, I will not command, but if situation demands,
then I know.
I mean, that's a very leadership wisdom, a very important leadership wisdom. And Chanakya says, if you punish too much, you become a kind of a tyrant.
Yes.
People get terrorized.
Yes.
That's one productivity model. Oh, he walks in, everybody's acting as if they're working. The other model is that if you don't punish, people will take you for granted.
Correct. They'll take advantage.
But can you actually balance both?
Yes.
If you punish too much, not accepted. People will leave and go.
Yeah.
If we're just waiting for the right opportunity.
Absolutely.
And the leftovers who still are part of the command and control because of two reasons. Either they're waiting for retirement or they're not productive enough.
So here's the next thought, and we've talked about this already, purpose and so on and so forth. What we found, and I've written a couple of articles about this, that with the Gen Zs who are looking for purposeful and meaningful work, and I've found it in general terms as well, as soon as you give people a sense of purpose beyond the day job, magic happens. So I'll give you an example. In a financial industry, we wanted to increase cross-sell. So this company did banking, so home loans, lending products, credit cards, deposit products. They did insurance and they did investment products. So that was their strength. They had all ranges covered. Now, they were trying to increase cross-sell, but sell was a 4-letter word for staff. They didn't want to sell, they came to serve. So we applied a bit of purpose to it. We said, I agree, you are here to serve, right? But you have a duty of care to make sure your customers have the right product and service. So we're not saying you should have a McDonald's, would you like fries with that approach. We want you to uncover what the customer really needs and sell it to them. So needs-based kind of selling. But we took the word sell out and replaced it with help. We said you have a duty, you have a duty of care to help, optimize their finances, protect their lifestyle with insurance, save them time, save them money. That's your job. And then ultimately cross-sell went up quite dramatically, right? So the sense of giving people a sense of purpose. And I call it transcendental because it transcends day-to-day work. So suddenly this link to something higher, a higher order purpose comes into play. Now, I think this is really important, right? But for a lot of leaders who are stuck with that command and control mindset, it's quite a challenge to shift your leadership style in terms of being command and control to being collaborative and being transcendental. What advice would you give those leaders? Because it's ingrained in their personality. How do they make the transition? Because it's required. Because command and control in a general sense, I agree, in some instances it's required, but in a general sense it doesn't work anymore. So what advice would you give leaders in terms of that?
So it's a change management issue for the leaders.
For the leaders, yes.
So I've been born in a generation of command and control.
Yes.
Near the generation which wants a purpose.
Right.
The small things we can do.
Yes.
One of my friends did that in his company.
Yes.
So it's a typical consulting organization with highly intellectual millennial generation.
Yes.
Chartered accountants, engineers, high profile guys, MBAs. There's a lot of offices across the world.
Yeah.
More than 200 employees.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, I understood that my command and control will not work. How do I change it? Now it's a typical 5-day working culture. They talk about numbers, sales, everything. But somebody said this one will not work. What to do? What he did a very interesting experiment. They tied up with an NGO. The NGO is called Roti Bank.
Okay.
So they actually help, food for the, the underprivileged.
Yeah.
Now, the first day when they had this tie-up, the leader made an announcement. Okay, you may be working from, Monday to Friday for a business purpose. But our purpose is bigger than that. So I would like to have volunteers who can work and give 3 hours on Saturday or Sunday. You decide. The first week, you'll be surprised at hardly any numbers. But you know what happened? It was surprising that, let's say, 10 of them volunteered. They went to the slum areas, they gave the food, they were themselves serving. When they came back, they're more productive. They're more inspired. Here's an organization where they are not only making money for us or giving validation to the customer or the clients, but they're taking a small part of that in the CSR fund, give to the underprivileged. The word spread. Next week, they had more than 50 employees who volunteered for it on a Saturday when they're not getting paid.
This is that need I was talking to you about, the need for contribution, right?
And now 100% all the employees put their Saturday, Sunday for public service.
Wow.
Through the organization or somewhere else.
Right.
In fact, now they innovated saying, okay, giving food is something we're doing. Now those employees come and say, can we also go to one level extra?
Right.
Can we teach them music? I'm a volunteer for music teaching. Can I teach them something more? Now coming back, they come back on Monday morning discussing what they did on Sunday for the underprivileged. And the company gives them that platform.
Yes.
And today the new policy is that suppose you have to work for them, we'll give you one more day out of that 5 weeks paid to go and teach them.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So let's just talk about leadership, but at another level. Right. You mentioned earlier when we had a chat about the importance of spirituality in leadership. Talk us through that. There's no doubt that people are looking for a purpose and a meaning in life, and talk to us about what you do in terms of spirituality in leadership.
So all this is boardroom discussions, but in life you require change. So what do most of the corporations do? They take them for outbound training program.
Yes.
Even if you do a training program in the office, the vibes are not that there. They'll go back to their cabin or the desk. So one of the advices given is change the place where they can work together as a team. Workshops, employee engagement programs. We do something strange. We take them to spiritual places.
Right.
So it's like a charging point.
Yes.
You get drained out, you have a charging point. There are a lot of spiritual places across the world where you go there and you come back with that energy. So we have trips to Kailash Manasarovar.
Yes.
In fact, many of you must have heard it. So we are taking a group now. A lot of people come, corporate guys. We take them to Himalayas also. So in Kailash Manasarovar, you go there, you do a basic tour. But you will survive. The person who comes back with a purpose. Is fully charged. And there's always a saying, Chris, that the person who went and the person who came back physically is the same, but internally he and she is different. So I think it's very important for leaders to give them the opportunity. In the Western world, they call it sabbaticals.
Yes, absolutely.
And Sabbath is a very spiritual word. So it's a Jewish word, Sabbath. To take a break, come back. So we're not telling you be a runaway. So why don't we look at spiritual breaks as a part of the corporate culture?
Yes, absolutely. Because I think a lot of people are looking for more, from life rather than just the corporate, dog-eat-dog, ego-based kind of lifestyle. The next thing I want to talk to you about is I talked about Gen Z and the challenges that they bring, but then you were talking about Gen Alpha, which is like next level. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So again, we talked about 2 generations. The command and control, where it was basic survival. Work for food. Gone. Like generation work for purpose. Third is very interesting. Those ones who are still in schools. The ones born after 2010. The generation alphas. For them, hunger is a story that my grandparents told me. Today they're talking about if you're hungry, you got 25 opportunities. And you just click on the mobiles delivered home. You don't have to even go to the kitchen. Now, there's one basic human need. It doesn't matter it's a baby boomer generation or the millennials or beyond. That need is something called human connect. Now what is happening thanks to technology? A lot of parents are facing a challenge. They say, children are watching mobile. The question is that what are they watching on the mobile?
Yes.
They will watch the mobile because born with technology, born in technology.
Yes.
So if you can actually look at these guys, they are brilliant. Information is no more a secret to them.
Yes.
They can find out who is living where, how much money is earning.
Absolutely.
Coming back, I work with a lot of, Generation Alpha.
Yeah.
They think differently. And in many times, they think opposite.
Yes.
Different is okay, A and B. No, I think I'm thinking about C. Therefore, I think we have to encourage entrepreneurship in them rather than seeking employment.
Right.
The generation of employees and government employment was final.
For a lot of people, the government employee was the ultimate prestige symbol, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's all gone now.
Yeah.
Generation Alpha doesn't think employment. They think about value creation, wealth creation, great life. Go out and maybe do a great cruise, come back and work for a purpose. I found this in Kailash Manasarovar. I had a person from US, highly educated, young boy, maybe in his 30s. I asked him, how come you are in Kailash Manasarovar Yatra? He told me, I know how to make my deals. What do you mean? Ask me a question about Kailash. You're talking about deals. You know what I do? I do 2 deals in a year. And remaining 6 months, I travel the world.
Wow.
So my finance is taken care. I take care of my parents. They love their parents also. They're not irresponsible. But I work for the 6 months, make my money. I go down different places. So this time Kailash.
Wow.
So I said, okay, maybe the next generation will think like that. You require money?
Yes.
Let's get it sorted. But is money the only purpose of my life?
Yeah.
Can I contribute something? Can I look at the world? Can I travel? Can I look at something differently? So I think we need to actually understand the social requirement of Generation Alpha.
Yeah.
And the beauty is that the world is connected. You don't have to earn money from one place. You can earn from multiple places. You decide the 2 deals that you want and make it big. You can be a millionaire and also you can have a trust baby in this generation.
Absolutely. So, one more thing, when I wrote my book, 10 Reasons Why.
That's what is my favorite.
10 Reasons Why CX-NPS program is I deliberately made it very thin and practical because otherwise if you make it fat, no one will read it, right? But you've taken it to the next level with this book, which is Chanakya's 100 Best Sutras. And you told us that you can read one aspect in 1 minute. Explain this to us.
So I work with Generation Alpha. So everything is like, attention span is less.
Yes.
Everything is beyond, I would say, less than 1 minute.
Yes.
I think Instagram, Reel, YouTube Shorts.
Yes.
We have to respect it. In fact, I'll tell you, there's a story that comes in the Indian culture, in the Puranas.
Yes.
There was this great, I would say, saint called Narad Muni.
Yes.
You can see him in all the, Itko and Narayan.
Yes.
He was a missionary.
Yes.
He was an evangelist. He used to go and convert everybody into what is called Bhakti Marg. And once he went to a king's place, and he was like, he spent a whole day there and he gets a royal treatment because in our culture, saints and wise people are given that extra.
Good treatment.
So, and finally the child gets, I will not use the word converted, but into that philosophy of bhakti is a great word.
Yes.
And the king gets very angry. I was preparing my son to lead the kingdom leadership and you're taking him away.
Yes.
So I give you a curse. So what is the curse? That you can never be at one place for more than 2 minutes.
Oh wow.
And you know what Narad Muni said? If I have to actually give my philosophy to anybody, I don't require 2 days. I only require 2 minutes. Thank you. Now I can serve more people.
Wow. Do you know Winston Churchill had this saying whenever someone would ask him to write a speech? I'm sure it was Winston Churchill. I hope it was. And someone would say, I want you to do a speech. And he would say, how long? So he said, why is that important? He said, because if it is short, I need to spend more time to prepare it. But if it's long, I don't need a lot of time to prepare it.
In my books, that's the point. It's called sutras.
Yes.
Can you crisp the whole knowledge into 2 words?
Yeah.
Maybe 1 minute. So all my chapters are 1 minute read.
Wow.
And that's why they're bestsellers.
This is the thing, right? I think I mentioned this to you before. The saying, I saw this meme on Instagram and it said, don't give me the book, give me the blog.
Wow.
Don't give me the blog, show me the tweet. That's the generation we're playing with. So, if you can communicate something in 1 minute, that's amazing. This has been absolutely fascinating to get all this ancient wisdom and still, make it relevant today, even though it's 2,400 years old. So thank you very much for sharing this with us, Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai.
Let me tell you, Chris has been one of the most fantastic podcasts I've ever done. You've been a wonderful human being. Believe me, the warmth that you carry, I think this is something that we together should look forward for training leaders. And look out for a collaboration, not competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very, very much for your time. To all our listeners out there, that's the end of this podcast. I look forward to speaking to you at the next podcast where we will cover another inspiring and enlightening topic. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Chris.
No,
thank you.